All right, what is going on, everybody, in the YouTube stratosphere? What in the college football? What is going on there, everybody, in the college football universe? It's me, it's your boy, it's your homie. It is Talk is Pit. Sorry, I haven't really been posting videos lately. Nothing really going on other than I just simply have not had time to post videos. I kind of almost gave up on posting videos or doing live streams or doing anything related to this sports channel. So this is week 6 of the ACC recap show, and it's also going to include the preview and prediction show for week 7. Not a lot of teams are playing this week because quite a few teams are on a bye week. Hey, CJ, welcome. Quite a few teams are on a bye week. And that doesn't really leave a lot of slate of ACC games to watch. So, with that being said, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. Click the notification bell to stay up to date for more Pitt and college football content. My dumbass forgot to put the Cash App link in the description. If you go on previous videos, you will find it. They're not on every video. I think it's in my bio. I think that Cash App is in my bio. So check somewhere on my channel. It's there. Always forget to do something. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start the recap section of this live stream. We're going to start off with Duke at California. Duke went on the road to Berkeley to face the California Golden Bears, second year in the ACC. And the ACC huddle is going to Georgia Tech versus Virginia Tech. That should be a okay game. Keyword. So Duke went on the road to Berkeley, California to take on the California Golden Bears. And Duke pulled away from this game 45-21. California, you guys jumped the gun from leaving the Pac-12 coming to the ACC. I always thought California and Stanford jumped the gun when it came to moving conferences. I guess the administration for both institutions did not want to wait around for the Pac-12 to collapse. I never thought it would collapse. I guess California and Stanford didn't want to be in a conference that's now dominated by former Group of Five teams. Well, here's the thing, though. You probably wouldn't have been very competitive in that conference either. But at least you would have had better shots at making bowl games. I know that. But with that being said, Duke mollywopped Cal 45-21. Moving on to SMU versus Syracuse. I have no idea what's going on with Syracuse. I don't. Because Syracuse seems like they had so much hype coming into the year, and they haven't done anything. They haven't done jack squat. And I tried to tell everybody last year, Syracuse wasn't that good. We exposed Syracuse even more than I believe it was Stanford who beat Syracuse. It was either Stanford or California who beat Syracuse. I can't remember. But one of those teams started the exposure of Syracuse, and then Pitt made it even worse. Now, Kyle McCord, don't get me wrong, threw for a lot of yards, but if that's all you're looking at as far as quarterbacks go, then, I mean, that's bad. Kyle McCord was good, but he wasn't great. SMU beat Syracuse 31-18, and SMU definitely took a step back from last year to this year. And yes, CJ, thank you for clarifying that. It was Stanford, everybody. SMU beats Syracuse 31-18. NC State 56-10 over Campbell. Who really gives a shit? Wake Forest beating Virginia Tech 32-23. Now I gotta say this about Wake Forest. They're not as bad as everyone predicted them to be. Wake Forest wins one more game, they're bowl eligible. So the Demon Deacons are definitely fighting to earn more respect within the ACC. Clemson goes on the road to Chapel Hill and beats North Carolina 38-10. To be honest, how bad North Carolina is, Clemson, I feel, should have beaten North Carolina by way more than this. Way more. I mean, a 28-point victory. I'm not going to, hold on, 10, 20. So an 18-point victory, whatever. I'm not going to take that against them or try to take that away from them. See, I can't even speak proper English. It's been so damn long since I've done a live stream. For whatever reason, I'm nervous as hell right now. Should have smoked a doobie before this. Wake Forest is definitely one of those teams everybody thought would be bad, but it's actually better than what they are. Clemson is not meeting expectations to what the rest of the ACC realm is doing, or the ACC realm has put out there for Clemson. And the fact that Clemson, what was it, 1-3, and what are they now? CJ 2-3, 3-3, whatever the case may be. Hey, that rhymes. North Carolina is probably taking the biggest drop off from last year to this year. And I just feel Clemson should have beaten them by more than this score. I mean, 38-10, that's still a big blowout, but Clemson's obviously way more talented than North Carolina. But Clemson's problems have been the same problems it has been for the past 3 or 4 years. Their offensive line is not that great. Cade Klubnik is not the mobile quarterback Clemson needs, but he is a good quarterback. He makes mistakes just like any other quarterback does. But like I said, Clemson probably should have won this game more. But hey, a win is a win, right? And it's a conference win, so. Virginia goes on the road to play Louisville and beats them in overtime 30-27. Pitt lost to Louisville a couple weeks ago, and I feel Pitt should have won that game, other than a bullshit fucking penalty that really screwed Pitt against Louisville. Virginia found a way to beat Louisville in overtime 30-27. And Virginia is also one of those teams, everybody, that I feel is better than what people thought. They're probably better than what people think now. I mean, hell, they beat Louisville, they beat Florida State the week prior, and I mean, come on now. Virginia should be within the top five conversations of teams who could make the ACC championship this year. 30-27 and overtime, Louisville loses to Virginia. Miami goes on the road to play Florida State, beats them 28-22. I agree, CJ. The Louisville game definitely blew that game. The West Virginia game, I'm still going to sit there and say the penalties that were thrown at us. Don't get me wrong; there were quite a few of them that we deserved, definitely deserved. But there was two roughing the passer calls that I did not agree with. Um, there were a couple holding calls that I did not agree with, and watching the whole entire backyard brawl back, CJ, West Virginia got away with at least six different holding penalties. I mean, when you're grabbing the guy around the neck and you're holding him and you're behind him, I mean, come on now. It is what it is, though. I mean, West Virginia won. They can um, use it for whatever they want to for the next 4 years. I mean, we would do the same. But make no mistake about it, CJ, we will whoop their ass the next time it comes around because Rich Rod, I guarantee you, probably won't be there to save them. And even if he is, it'll probably ironically be his last game. But anyway, Miami beats Florida State 28-22. And what's concerning about Miami and also Florida State is one, Florida State has now lost two games in a row. They've lost two games in a row. Miami was up on Florida State 28-3, I believe it was. Or yeah, they were up a pretty big lead and almost choked it away. But Miami held on 28-22. Whoops. They held on 28-22 to secure the victory against rival Florida State. And I did watch this game. I actually watched this game in full whenever the ACC finally did re-upload the game. And I have to say, Florida State's offensive line is huge. Absolutely huge. I mean, I think they average 6'6" across the board. You know what's funny? I would have laughed, CJ, if they blew that lead. But then again, I would be a hypocrite because Pitt blew a lead 17-0 over Louisville. But for Miami, almost choking away a lead like that, that should concern you because eventually that's going to come back to bite you in the ass. Hello, John. Welcome to the stream. And then finally, my team, the Pittsburgh Panthers, beat the living dog shit out of Boston College 48-10. Now, I didn't expect Pitt to beat Boston College this way. I did expect a double-digit win, like a 10-14 point win. I did not expect this. And I was concerned that it may be less than a 10-point win when it was announced that Eli Holstein is no longer the starting quarterback for the Pitt Panthers, and in comes Mason Heinchel, who absolutely torched Boston College and didn't have an incompletion until towards the end of the second quarter. He was like 14 of 14 before he finally had an incompletion. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I know it's Boston College. I know they're not good. I know they're riddled with injuries worse than any other team in the ACC. Literally, Boston College was missing five defensive starters. Five. They were missing five defensive starters. And it's Division 1 football, so next man up, right? But Boston College, I mean, they just sat there and just let Pitt do everything Pitt wanted to do. 48-7. Mason Heinchel, 18 years old, four-star freshman quarterback from Oregon, Ohio. Clay High School in Oregon, Ohio. 30 of 41, 325 yards, four touchdowns, zero interceptions. That's what separates him from Eli Holstein. Mason Heinchel typically doesn't turn the ball over to the magnitude Holstein does. But it is what it is. Mason Heinchel is now the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Panthers. And I'm excited for what the future is when it comes to Mason Heinchel. But Pitt beat Boston College 48-7. Oh, man, everybody. I'm going to take like a 2-minute break before we get on to week 7, everybody. So I will be right back in about 2 minutes. All right, ladies and germs, I am back. Thank you for being all patient with me. Now we're going to get on to week 7 of this live stream or of this ACC recap, preview, and predictions show. We're going to be starting off with Clemson going on the road to face Boston College. I'm going to pick Clemson in this game. This game should not be close at all. If Clemson does not score more than 40 points, it's to me it's going to be a disappointing win. But I'm predicting Clemson to beat Boston College 55-7. Um, Boston College is just down bad. I mean, they're down bad like how we were last year down bad. And don't get me wrong, I don't wish injury on any player. But when you're this riddled with injuries like Boston College, I mean, you got to be worried that something else in your organization is not, adding up or whatever the case may be. Like somebody is not conditioning these players to where they need to be. I mean, because if over half your defense is out, I would start to think you got a strength and conditioning problem. Oh, 100% happy that Penn State lost to UCLA. And if it doesn't make it any worse, CJ, former Penn State wide receiver Julian Fleming has been arrested for homicide charges. I'm not going to get into that on this live stream, but just thought I'd throw that out there. Just to throw shade at Penn State. Fuck you, Penn State. Clemson will beat the shit out of Boston College 55-7. That's my final prediction for that game. Wake Forest goes on the road to face Oregon State. Wake Forest goes on the road to face Oregon State. I'm actually going to take Wake Forest in this game because Oregon State is not good. They weren't really that good with DJ there. Um, and then DJ went to Florida State. I mean, don't get me wrong, DJ did way better at Oregon State than he did at Florida State. But to me, Oregon State's bad. I'm going to take Wake Forest to win this game by 7. I'd say a 28-21 victory, Wake Forest over Oregon State on the road. NC State at Notre Dame. NC State is one of those teams that at times looks good, but then looks bad in the very same game. You know, they're just like, I don't want to say they're just like Pitt because I think Pitt could beat NC State by double digits. But NC State is one of those teams where they'll get off hot and then fall off throughout the game. This game isn't going to be close. Notre Dame is going to run the table, or should I say, mop the floor with NC State. I don't think this game's going to be close, like I said, whatsoever. I'm going to pick Notre Dame in this game to win by double digits. Virginia Tech goes on the road where the ACC huddle will follow to take on Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech on the road at Georgia Tech. And Virginia Tech scraped out a win against Wake Forest, but Wake Forest is not on the same level of talent that Georgia Tech is. And I don't think, Virginia Tech has a chance in this game. So I'm going to take Georgia Tech to win this game 38-17. And probably two of those possessions are garbage time points for Virginia Tech. Yeah, Wake Forest did beat Virginia Tech last week, CJ. If I said the other way around, I didn't mean to say that. Um, um, but yeah, so Wake Forest, barely squeaked out a win over Virginia Tech, but Wake Forest is not on the same level as Georgia Tech is. So I think Virginia Tech is going to lose even worse than what they did prior. I think Georgia Tech's going to win this game by double digits. I'm predicting a 45-20 win, Georgia Tech over Virginia Tech. SMU, or should I say Stanford, goes on the road to take on the Mustangs of Southern Methodist. Stanford, I think I missed writing that game down. Uh, did Stanford play last week, CJ? I think I might have forgotten to write that game down. Did they play last week? Before I continue, I need to know if Stanford played last week because I feel like an idiot if I completely missed them. Wait, I have my other phone. Where is it? It must be sitting over by my PlayStation. Damn. So Stanford did play last week, guys. I don't know how the hell I missed that. I don't. I do apologize to the Cardinal fan base. Um, Stanford defeated San Jose State 30-29. Oh wait, hold on. No, that's wrong. Why is it showing me that? That's their season opener. Jesus Christ. Okay. Google is retarded. Literally said ending of the week ending October 4th. Literally, bro. Literally, CJ, swear to fucking God, that's what Google said. Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry, Jesus Christ. Stanford at SMU. This is probably going to be the most retarded live stream I've ever done. Stanford goes on the road to face SMU. This game ain't going to be close, but it ain't going to be a blowout the way everybody expects because I think Stanford's going to hang around for like the first quarter, maybe two, and then SMU probably going to beat them by like 7 to 14 points. Um, I would give it about a 10 to 14 point victory for SMU. I'm just not high on SMU this year like I was last year. I mean, SMU came in, made it to the ACC championship, and haven't done shit ever since. And then the final game on the agenda is the one that involves my team. The Pittsburgh Panthers will go on the road to Tallahassee, Florida, to take on the Florida State Seminoles. Now, normally I would pick Pitt to lose going on the road to an environment like Florida State. Never in my right mind would I pick against Florida State. However, what Rec Talk was wrong about is it actually does have the number one rushing defense in the entire country. The number one rushing defense, averaging only allowing teams to only average 64 yards a game. That is it. Pitt, as of right now, has the number one rushing defense in the entire country. And I don't think Florida State's going to be able to run the ball. I don't. I don't think Florida State's going to be able to run the ball very well or as well as Florida State thinks they are. Florida State, if they are going to win this game, are going to have to do it through the air. Hello, Lon Tractor. Welcome. Thank you for the subscribe the other night, Lon. I don't think Florida State's going to be able to run the ball very well, so they're going to have to beat us through the air. That's just, I mean, that's how most teams have beaten us, is through the air. And actually, the two losses we have to West Virginia and Louisville, they beat us through the air. Not on the ground, they beat us through the air. Florida State's defense is susceptible to big plays. They're susceptible to big plays down the middle, down the seam, across the middle, and they don't necessarily have the best run defense either. So, with that being said, and Pitt coming off of a big win over Boston College, I actually think Pitt is going to upset Florida State in this game. I think it's going to be a 24-17 victory if Pitt beats them by a touchdown, or a 20-17 victory if we beat them by a touchdown. So, with that being said, ladies and germs, I am picking Pitt to upset Florida State on the road in Tallahassee. I know the Panthers, but Florida State also hasn't faced a very Florida State, when they faced defenses with a pulse, they've lost. Miami, Virginia, and now they're playing Pitt. So, I mean, I do think Pitt will end up beating Florida State on the road in Tallahassee. Man, I think that's the quickest I've ever gotten through in ACC recap, preview, and predictions show. And I'm okay with that. I really don't like doing super long live streams. I don't. I would prefer to do videos, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I love doing live streams, but my preference is videos when it comes to sports, unless I'm doing a watch-along. I wish I was doing a watch-along at some point during the season. If Pitt makes it to the ACC championship, I will be in Charlotte, no doubt. That's all I got for today's video or today's live stream. I know it's only been a little over 30 minutes, but wanted to video chat with my kid before she goes to sleep in the next 30 minutes. So much love to everybody who has stopped by in the live stream, Lawn Tractor, CJ, everybody else who stopped by, who just sat in the background. Much love to you guys. I will see you guys back here sometime Sunday or Monday for my next live stream. I will post a video within that time frame. So it's great seeing everybody once again. See you next time.